You don't know. Like they caught somebody recently for bringing a dang like biomedical or bio warfare. Did you see that from like China? It was like a student in Michigan, like 2 students in Michigan that are like biomed students.
When was this?
It was like past couple months.
Really?
And they brought a biochemical weapon for testing, and they illegally smuggled it into the U.S. and they're like facing charges now.
Oh my God.
And China sent them over here to do it.
See if you can find that, Steve.
I don't know if I described it well enough, but when I saw that, I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, that's it, man. The human side of it. There we go.
Students in Michigan. The University of Michigan has become the center of a controversy involving Chinese scholars allegedly attempting to smuggle biological materials into the United States, raising concerns about the national security of foreign influence in academic institutions. 2 Chinese nationals were arrested in June 2025. Holy shit, for attempting to smuggle a potential agro-terrorism weapon, fusarium and graminarium, into the country, which could devastate crops and pose a threat to food security. Holy shit, dude.
Nobody talks about
How did I not hear about this?
Yeah. And again, you start to think about food security. You start to think about what happened with the pandemic last time, how everybody freaked out. Nobody talks about the electric grid. Nobody talks about the water supply.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the most vulnerable.
Most vulnerable.
And
people can hack the electric grid, right?
Here's the thing. If you start to hear anyone talking about it, it means something's already happened. When I worked in cybersecurity, this is the average for a company to find out that something's happened in their network. So like someone's hacked them. The average days is 179 days for a company with all these tools and stuff to find out they've been hacked. That's just to find out that they've been hacked. That's not to investigate, to know who did it, to know what was taken, just to even find out that something happened. So when you start to hear about anything about the grid, anything about food supply, any of that, they already know.
Well, there was that crazy story that came out a couple of years ago, maybe it was a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, where they found out that through just pure incompetence, I think, that the government was buying Huawei telecommunication gear and installing that on cell phone towers right near our nuclear bases.
That's another thing. That's actually a really good point, because then you start to look at, this is crazy. I was thinking about this. You made me think. You look at like manufacturing. Manufacturing in the U.S. is completely vulnerable. Like the supply chain and all that kind of stuff. That's why we're trying to fix it right now as well.
Right.
We learned some lessons from the pandemic.
Yeah.
And the hard thing is you cannot protect these devices very well. They're getting better at it from a cybersecurity standpoint, that are running these supply chain and manufacturing lines and stuff like that, because they're not like your regular laptop or something, but they're connected devices that are running these machines and stuff. Mm-hmm. So protecting those, like it's kind of like having a microwave that's connected to Wi-Fi, but this is a computer that's not fully like a Windows machine or something that's connected into a supply, like a company's network. And if it goes down, the whole thing goes down. So how do you protect those? There's all sorts of things. But my point is with this are these chip manufacturers. That's why there's like such a race to like figure all that out and like make the US like try to lead in this space. Yeah. Because that is a huge security concern when you have chips that are being made overseas, different countries. There's on one of the chips, there's like AMD and Intel. On one of the chips, there's actually a thing where you could turn the computer on via the motherboard without the person even being there. And it's built into the chip. And it's literally like a checkbox to turn it on.
And this is one that's manufactured in China?
Well, it's one of the chip companies. I think it's Intel that had it. It might be AMD, but I remember when I was working at HP at the time, that was one of like our selling points. It was called like always on.
Right.
So like if you wanted to work on XYZ employee's computer, it had this always on thing. As long as it was like connected to the internet, you could turn it on without anyone knowing.
If I was China or Russia and the United States was buying computer chips from me, of course I would build a backdoor into all those computer 100%. Chips, especially if they're giving those to all the people that work for the FBI and the CIA and the Congress, whatever, anybody in government. And that's exactly what we did with the Promise software. Remember, you ever heard of the Promise software? It was the first software that was developed. I think it was in like the 80s, early 80s, where they basically needed to put all the court records, all like the legal documents around the country on like an online database.
Okay.
So that all the courts could like just keyword search for specific files on specific people, because people were like slipping through the cracks all the time. So when they developed this, we started selling it to other countries so they could use it, and we built a backdoor into it so we could spy on their government.
Yeah, very smart.
So that's crazy. If they're, that's why I think Taiwan is such a like a important thing for this whole thing with Taiwan and the race to get it, like with the tug of war with the U.S. and China.
Yeah, I mean, Taiwan. We have so many critical components. Now, I'm not saying that everything's going to be manufactured here in the U.S., but like we have so many critical components that are they're manufactured overseas. Not to say that every country is like doing all these bad things, but you want to have a critical look at the stuff. Like even every hard drive, like there's big companies that buy hard drives for servers and stuff like that are going in our cloud environments from overseas. Like, and if there's a shortage, so we need to look at that better. And that's like that's a Trojan horse to get in through actual chip manufacturers and hardware components and things like that. So it's going to be interesting because there's a ripple effect if one thing goes down, man, whether it's grid or food supply or water supply. Right. Think about like the local municipality or whatever that runs the water for a small city and they get hacked.
Yeah. Oh my God. Imagine how much that would fuck shit up, dude.
Yeah. Like that stuff's scary to me.
You can't get clean water anymore.
Yeah.
Now what?
It's tough.
I think we take a lot of things for granted in the U.S.
Yeah.
A lot of things, like life's so easy here, and we don't live in a war-torn part of the world.
Yeah.
And I think we get comfortable because we're surrounded. We have these two big oceans on each side of us, so we're not worried about people like storming the beach of New Jersey.
Yeah.
But now in today's day and age, that's like, fuck, man, the tides are turning. Yeah. And it's scary to think like what's going to happen with technology. Like a guy really laid it out to me perfectly before on this podcast, a former CIA guy. He was explaining to me this exact thing. And he was saying like, if the US is no longer the global superpower, say like China or something, like their GDP and, everything overtakes us as far as like military superpower and GDP alone. And we become number 2 or number 3. Well, now what happens is when your kid is born and you're a U.S. citizen, now you have to teach your kid a second language. Like you almost have to if you want to. Like in any of these other countries, and you have a kid and you don't teach them English, they're automatically at a disadvantage.
Yes.
So like that's not something we think about in America. We're not worried about teaching our kids a second language so they can survive and like thrive.
Yeah.
But those are things you just don't think about.
Yeah, we're the, like even, I don't know what the median income is in the US, for instance, but like, what we consider to be poor or downtrodden here is pretty dang good in a lot of other countries. And a lot of times too, like we got it good when people are worried about whatever we fight about in today's day and age here in the US. We've got like these non-fundamental things where people are fighting for. Like, for instance, I was talking about like the scammers in Kolkata when the pandemic hit, their unemployment rate was 45%.
Wow.
Like, do you know the amount of chaos in any big city if it was 45% unemployment rate?
Right.
It would be anarchy.
Oh, yeah.
And we have anarchy when people don't like who gets voted in and, or whatever's happening.
Right.
We have people doing stuff.
Right.
And like real hurt and real pain that people are feeling, like over in India or whatever. Like imagine that if that hit the States, it would be terrible. And like, that's why I try to look at, all of this stuff from a different lens, because yes, we are extremely fortunate, and it's not some guy, like the approach we take is not, just some dude making YouTube videos to make money. What we do is we're trying to help people, and we try to even help. Like, for instance, we had a guy in Kolkata that I was on the phone with him, and he thought I was like a grandpa, and he started like crying on the phone, and he said, "Hey, I don't want to do this. I just started. Like, I'm really sorry." Like, a lot of them are BSing, but this guy was like very legit. He was just now getting married. So, and this isn't a pat on my back or anything. I'm just kind of telling you the story. Like, we paid for, like, he quit scamming. We paid for him to have, like, we got him a gift for his wedding, and then we paid for him for an apartment complex, or for apartment for he and his wife for like a whole year.
In Kolkata?
Yeah. And I don't know, it touched a certain part in my heart, because you can tell when someone's being genuine about something or just BSing. Like, a lot of the scammers, they'll be like, I'll tell them where they're located. They're like, we're not here. We're in Pakistan. We're in Lahore, Pakistan. And you're like, you're not in Pakistan. I know exactly where you are. And then you have a guy like this, his name was Karan, and he was sending me pictures. He got a new job. He was sending me pictures of he and his, wife after the ceremony. Both of his parents died. One of them died during the pandemic. Another one died just, I don't know, sickness or whatever. I don't know the whole story. But he showed me all of these things that were going on in his life. And it brings like the realism, like the gravity of the situation to me. Like, there are people over there. They're not bad people. Right? Not all people from India are bad or scammers or whatever.
Right.
There are people that are just trying to survive.
Sure.
And I try to take a lens, like, it's heavy, like, on these calls, because we're, joking and doing all this stuff. But like, there are people.
If you were him, if you were in his situation with his life, would you do anything? Would you do different things differently? Who knows?
I mean, as a family man, like with a wife and with kids, like, that's my number one priority. I would do anything to fight for my family.
Right.
And, like, I can't imagine, like, even from like clean water and air conditioning, like, we have such good lives here.
Yeah.
Such good lives. And, so I don't know, that's one of the approaches I try to take, is one of humanity. Like, people are people. I try to see people like how God sees them. And we are all children of God. And I try to see through that lens, no matter what I may be feeling. I try to see differently, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, that's a good thing to do.
And call it spiritual or whatever, but like, I try to see just differently. I do get frustrated at these guys. I get mad because I see the stuff that happens, but I try to also, they're people too. So anyway.
Totally.